Actor Christopher Knight is in town tonight, headlining a fundraiser at King's Dedham for Journey Forward, a nonprofit exercise and rehab facility for people with spinal cord injuries. Knight's inspiration is Dan Cummings, a Hyde Park native who was paralyzed in a swimming accident 13 years ago. And Dan Cummings is here along with actor Christopher Knight. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you, Emily.
So, Christopher, we just assumed you kind of blew into town for this event, but it turns out you've been working with Dan and Journey Forward for a while.
I've had the privilege now to work with Dan for 5 years. His brother is a producer living in Los Angeles, and through mutual friends, we became friends. And he, at the same time I met Jimmy, he told me about Dan and his injury, and that he was making moves to open a facility and needed a fundraiser, and introduced me to Dan, and frankly, he's exceptionally inspirational, and it became impossible to not want to help.
So, Dan, tell us your story. I mean, this is the classic.
Sure.
You dove into a lake. What happened?
Yeah. Just 13 years ago, hanging out with my friends, dove in a lake, opened my eyes underwater, and I couldn't move. And that was when two of my friends ran in the water, and they pulled me up onto the shore.
Did you hit a rock? You hit bottom? You don't even know. You hit the bottom.
I hit the bottom.
With your head?
My head, yes. And I immediately noticed I couldn't move my legs when I was on the shore, and I'm yelling, I can't move my legs, I can't move my legs. One of my friends bent down, he started touching my leg, and I couldn't feel it, and right then I knew what happened. And they said, call 911. And that was the last thing I remember. I was med-flighted to Boston Medical Center, where I spent a month in the intensive care unit. I swallowed a lot of dirty water, so my left lung had collapsed, and I came down with a severe pneumonia. And I was on a life support system known as a ventilator because I was unable to breathe on my own, so that was basically a machine breathing for me. And
no, but you didn't sever your spinal cord, did you?
It was cut. It was not totally severed, but it was cut into.
Because how does this work with regeneration? I know you've done extensive rehab and exercise and everything, but is there such thing these days as regeneration?
Absolutely, yeah. And there's a lot of research right now that's actually being done that is really proving that there is benefits to exercise after a spinal cord injury. You know, so without a doubt, you know, the goal at Journey Forward is everyone wants to get up and walk again. And I believe that any of our clients can get up and walk again. But there's so much more than that. You know, just the exercise aspect is so important. You know, able-bodied people should be exercising. Never mind someone who sits in a wheelchair 24 hours a day. You know, and the exercise has been proven to help decrease the secondary complications that come along with spinal cord injuries. There are many secondary complications, from blood clots to urinary tract infections to pressure sores that can get infected and ultimately become fatal.
Yeah, it's got to be, you know, kind of not discouraging, but kind of mind-boggling to even try it. I mean, you look fit. You obviously are exercising yourself. He's your inspiration for that?
Well, no, I think that, you know, I once drove into, it was Lake Mead at the time, and I didn't get past my elbows. But luckily for me, I just hit my nose.
What is it about
but it was
guys?
like, whoa, that could have been, I couldn't see the bottom, it was daylight. But, you know, it's at a moment like that. I have stories of neighbors who just dove into water, not hitting the bottom, just hitting the water wrong. And that was part of this attraction outside of the story, was the reality that this kind of injury is just a moment away for all of us. And I like being physically fit, and taking that away from me would leave me with being somebody that I'm not as I see myself today. And I certainly don't think that I would have handled it as well as Dan is handling.
I wouldn't have.
And as an inspiration, he is not just doing this for himself, but he is doing this for the community and for all of us, in fact, because he's sort of teaching the medical community, which heretofore has really put people in chairs once they have a spinal cord injury, and has not adopted a strategy of activity. And he's proving that through this activity, and he had to go to Wade to learn this, to Southern California, and being a proud Bostonian as he is, you know, that irked him. That in fact this kind of treatment wasn't here, right? So
now you're bringing that here. What was that thing? So you went out to Southern California.
Yeah.
Was it very similar to what you're opening now?
Oh yeah, it was.
Journey Forward.
Yeah, the model of it really, it's an exercise-based recovery center.
And how long were you there?
Strictly exercise. I was there for 4 years. I began the program 3 years after I broke my neck. So I broke my neck when I was 19. I began that program when I was 22. And I walked out of there when I was 26.
As I say, you walked in here tonight.
But I think we need to establish this. Dan didn't walk after his injury. Because of these kind of treatments, he has taught himself to walk again when doctors said he would never do it again. And he once said something to me that totally encapsulated it. He says, if you take a healthy person and tell them to sit in a chair for 10 years, they're never going to walk again.
Yeah.
So the reality is that they're condemning people to chairs versus seeking some sort of solution through activity, and he's proving that activity doesn't hurt people, but in fact helps.
Well, of course, our role model for this was the actor Christopher Reeves, who tried so desperately hard, but he was paralyzed from the neck down. I mean, that is a really, really tough injury, and he was looking for all kinds of things, stem cell research. I mean, he was trying to get, cutting edge technology, but unfortunately, he didn't see that come to fruition.
Yeah, I actually, at one point, believe me, I wasn't too far off from Christopher Reeve.
Really?
I was in my electrical wheelchair, cervical 6. I believe Christopher was maybe cervical 2. It's, like Chris said, 7 years before I took my first steps. It's been 13 years now. I'm still working out at Journey Forward. I am improving. I was just telling Chris a couple hours ago, I'm now trying to take steps without holding on to my walker, because you take my walker away, I can't really walk. But just the other day at home, just practicing, I was taking a couple steps, and I was able to do it.
So does insurance pay for this? Or?
No, it is not covered by insurance.
Well, see, they're learning something new. I mean, this is teaching the medical community that, in fact, by exercising, you can regenerate whatever that damage is that has been done to your spine. In some cases, you can actually help it to improve itself. When heretofore, I don't think there was no belief in that. There was by some, I would imagine, some suspicion that you just can't. I mean, it's got to be healthy for you to move. Maybe a surprise as well that people actually moved and then were able to move on their own. I mean, literally, he's a quadriplegic that's got use of his hands and can walk with a walker. Doctors didn't expect him to do anything but live in a wheelchair.
That's right.
And he wouldn't accept that. And by not accepting that and then bringing this kind of modality here, you've got 65 people now that
well, maybe we can get some scholarships going for some people.
Well, that's it. The research is now, being attracted to this and learning from it.
That's good. And I know our good friend Bob LaBelle is going to be there tonight, too. So,
yeah.
Luck to him. All right, Dan Cummings, Christopher Knight, thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, and that's it for Greater Boston. Tomorrow night, the first televised debate with all the men who want to fill the Senate seat formerly held by John Kerry, both the Republicans and the Democrats. It's a live 1-hour Senate debate starting at 7. Then later in the week, Caroline Kennedy is here with her latest book, Poems to Learn by Heart. I'm Emily Rooney. Thanks for watching.